Hey makers, hey, Lionel Johnston here. Hey, I wanted to come up with a couple quick thoughts on my experience at the Scattered Seeds market just over these past 2 weekends actually here in Winnipeg. And my thoughts aren't so much on the show itself, it's really about how can we give tips for makers, bakers, and builders to get the most out of those trade show environments. It's a big investment in time and money, of course, so we want to get the most that we can out of that. First of all, I do want to start off, it was really amazing and heartwarming being able to see all of these small business owners, speaking to customers face to face, not through a webcam, not in a Zoom meeting, actually face to face, and even to a point where some were able to sample products and have tastings and things like that. Really, it was great to be able to see us getting closer to being able to do that type of business and commerce with people here. Also, personally, it was great for me. There were so many great products there and businesses. I took care of a whole bunch of holiday gifts, and I don't know if you folks shop like I do. It's like one for you, one for me. But yeah, I checked off a lot of gifts that we need for the upcoming holidays here. And again, really proud to support all the local businesses. So I've got 6 quick tips though for you on how to maximize your time at a trade show, and I'll have a couple examples of things not to be able to do. But my first tip is really understanding this concept, and that is that nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. Okay, so keep that in mind and think about what is it that we can do. Like, we've got this little area here, a 10 by 10 section. What can we do to be able to bring people in and keep them, right? And have discussions with them, build relationships, have them try our products, and ultimately get sales and get long-term customers, right? So a couple things that you can do with that. One is, you likely already have customers. So let them know before the event comes up that you're going to be there. Invite them out to come and visit you. It is so great when you're actually in a selling situation with a new customer and an existing customer comes by and tells you how awesome your soap is, or your beans, or whatever it may happen to be. That just makes it so much easier to be able to, again, build up relationships and get sales with customers, right? So make sure you invite your existing customers and fan base through email and through social. A really important thing as well is to be able to invite people into your booth and make sure that your booth is set up in a way that you actually can do that. What you don't want is a table in front of you and you're on one side of the table and your customers are on the other side, right? It just automatically creates that divide. Okay, so if you have to have a table like that, maybe don't have it full width across your booth, but have it shorter. Like I saw some vendors did this, and they're able to then pull the person into the booth and then actually show them the different products on the shelves or have them demo the products. But make sure that you really have a way that you are able to invite people right into your booth. The second tip, and I have touched on this briefly, is if you can, make sure that you have the ability to be able to sample products, the taste tests, or to use the products and demonstrate how great they are, give out samples, whatever it is. That really makes a big difference. People love to read and hear about things, but if they can actually see, feel, taste it, try it, that goes a long way. And I know even for myself, speaking with Missy from the Darling Dough company, we're rolling out her dough. I ended up buying some for some youngsters, for the holidays in our family. But that was a great time for her to be able to engage with me and tell me her story, tell me about all the great things about the product, the essential oils, why it's in there, that it's okay if it's eaten, all those different things. That's, again, just something that's impossible to be able to do in a store. So as much as it takes a lot of time to have those one-on-one discussions with people, let's maximize it and really do what we can, again, to be able to have our products come alive and tell the stories. So the next tip that I do have for you is to be present and to be high energy. That is really important. Okay, and I'll touch on the opposite of this in the tips of things not to be able to do. All right, but make sure wherever you are, be there. Okay, so don't be on your phone eating anything like that. Just be right there. Have eye contact with people, be friendly, have conversations, pull them into your booth. That's important, but again, that energy is really very important. I know on a Sunday afternoon after 3 days, 4 days at a show, it can be tough to have high energy. My fourth tip, and this is really an interesting topic, and it relates to QR codes and having resources or contact information. I remember when QR codes came out many years ago as this new fancy, new fandangled thing, and no one really knew what it was, and you had to have an app to be able to access, and actually have them work. And it was something that seemed like it was going to revolutionize the marketing world, and it just never really did. Then COVID came along, and a year and a half later, it seems to have had a resurgence. Think about all the restaurants you've been to in the last year and a half. A lot of them actually have their menus on QR codes. So people young and old, they know how to use it. Also, the technology has changed where you can actually just, as you know, have your camera scanner and it opens up the link. So it's super easy to be able to use. I saw vendors at Scattered Seeds, they were using it for contests or to be able to send people to their Instagram page or their website or any specials that they have. So keep that in mind anyway. How can you use a QR code? Because people are busy, all right? They may not want to take a bunch of things from you, but if they can scan that, they get to your website. There's a lot of big benefits to that. My fifth point, and this is a little bit different than the other points, but think about this. You typically get the same 5, 10, 15 questions from people, right? Every single time, they're pretty well asking the same questions. Generally, the most common one is price and what's in the product, right? But these questions shouldn't be a surprise to you, okay? So make sure you have an objections binder, right? And I don't mean you have to have it there and you're reading it out when someone says, oh, how much does that cost? You're like, oh, let me turn to page 7, and I get that. I don't mean that. What I mean is that you need to know what's right for your business. When someone asks how much does it cost, or they give you an objection like it's too expensive, or not now, I'm just looking, make sure you know how to handle that properly by using an objection cycle, but also knowing what to be able to say in that case. And this is where it's really important to have that information done ahead of time. Is you as the maker, you passionately know everything about your business and the product, and you can answer these questions. But I saw a number of cases where makers had their spouses or friends come out to be able to help them at the booth, and I get it. We need help there. But in many cases, that helper really didn't know very much about the product when I actually was asking them different questions. So you want to be able to have that objection binder right there, and even do some training beforehand. So when someone gets a question and they're helping you out, they know exactly how to answer it, and they are answering it exactly the way you want it answered, and the exact way that you would answer it yourself. My last point, and this is a really, really important one, and it's just to have fun, right? So that was a great thing. Like, I saw so many people, laughing at their booths, having discussions, and really building great relationships. And I really encourage you to be able to do that, right? You've spent a lot of time and a lot of money and put in a lot of effort to be able to get your product or service to where it's at a point where you can now take it to the farmer's market, right? Or a craft show or trade show. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward and having a lot of fun. There were some people and some booths that really stuck out for me. I already mentioned, Missy with the Darling Dough Company. She was, again, very charismatic, great at telling stories. Karen with Cloverdale Forge, we had actually several great discussions. I went in there several different times talking about their products. Maria, we spoke about, with Practical Homestead, talked about how she left her corporate job and got into the business that she's now running with sustainable products. And that is what a lot of people are coming to be able to see, right? Yes, they want the product, yes, they want the service, but they also want that story, behind the product or service. So make sure we're having a lot of fun and we're sharing those things. So those are some tips on what to be able to do. A couple quick things of what you don't want to do, and these will seem obvious, so I'll skip through them. But put your phone away. Okay, I saw this unfortunately several times. People are sitting down in their booth, which is another really bad thing to be able to do, and maybe you have knee problems and you have to deal with what you have to deal with in that case. So you do you in those cases. But outside of that, stand up, right? Okay, and you're able to look directly to people, but don't have your phone out. Please don't eat in your booth, even if you're sampling foods. It's okay for customers and visitors to do that, but I wouldn't recommend sitting in your booth while you're on your phone eating a sub or something like that anyway. Okay, so just keep those things in mind. And the last thing what I'd recommend you not to do is don't pack up early. I've done countless amounts of trade shows and home shows and fairs. and I don't have an exact number, but in many cases, people at the end of the show are really good customers for whatever reason. As much as everyone's in a rush and packing up, they seem to have some time. They're trying to squeeze in some last minute shopping without fail almost all the time. Again, those customers seem to really be outstanding customers. So, you paid to be there until the final bell. Make sure that you are working right until the final bell. So anyway, just to wrap things up, those are some thoughts that I had from my own observations and my own experience of doing hundreds and hundreds of shows over the years. And again, a couple warnings of what things you shouldn't do. But we are going to tag a bunch of our favorite makers and bakers and builders here in this post. I would love for you to be able to share what some of your experiences are. What are some tips that you think are best to be able to help a maker get the most out of their show? And if you have some warnings for people of things they shouldn't do at something like a scattered seeds market, please comment below as well. Thanks for watching up to this point, and I hope you're having a very successful final sprint in 2021 here, and wish you all the best as we head into 2022. Thank you. Onward and upward.